Welcome to day 49 of the series, which means we are 12 days away from running 100 miles in Leadville, Colorado. Today is Monday, August 10th, and we're 12 days away from Leadville, and it's gonna be a bit different today. So again, a couple of weeks ago, I brought up this conversation of doing more just chatting to the camera opposed to showing my entire day, and I said it again last week. So throughout the next 12 days or so, I'll have a few more days where I'm talking about a certain topic opposed to showing my entire day and what I'm doing. So today, we're gonna talk about the taper. Tapering is a little bit nuanced. It's very individual based on the block that you've experienced. For me, I've had 7 straight weeks now of progressive overload, upping my mileage, upping my vert, time on feet, cross training, strength training, and I definitely feel the fatigue in my body. So these next 12 days are gonna be pretty dialed back. So how I'm approaching tapering is kind of a two-parter. One, it's on a daily where I'm looking at what I've done the past few weeks on a certain Monday. So today, for example, on a Monday, and dialing back individual days, roughly 30%. So again, an example, last week, I did a 7-mile run Monday morning and then into a 40-minute bike. Today, I did a 5-mile run, 5.25 miles into a 25-minute run. So I'm scaling back the actual workouts within a day, roughly 30%. Sometimes it'll be 25%, maybe even up to 40%, but just scaling back down so I can kind of get some fatigue out of my body and feel like I'm ready to run during race day. There's no fitness really to gain cardiovascularly in the next 12 days. On quality days, there's some stuff to be said about getting some more damage and more quality work, especially on like race specific attributes, like downhill running, for example, which I'll talk about later. And then the second part of this conversation is not on a daily, but on a weekly scope. So last week I ran, I think it was 92 miles from Monday to Sunday, which is about 150 kilometers. This week, I'll be closer to 60. So scaling way back over the course of a week. Again, that's probably 30 to 35%. I didn't actually do the math before hopping on this, but that sort of ballpark. So in the individual day, not changing too much on how the day is structured, maybe taking out some workouts and then dialing back other ones. And then over the course of the entire week, obviously those days compound, and the whole week will also look like a 30 to 35% reduction. Quality days are a little bit different. So race-specific quality is important still to have in the last 12-day block. So for me, quality days have happened on Tuesday predominantly, and then again on either Friday or Saturday, and sometimes both, depending on where I was in the peak. So this past week, my peak week, I did a bit of a quality workout on Friday at a shorter duration up at Walker Ranch, and then Saturday was my 30-mile big long run at Leadville, which is obviously quality because you're on your feet for 5+ hours. And quality this week is going to look slightly reduced, but also a little more specific to the race. So I'll try to pound some downhills. I'll try to get more of like that top end speed, efficiency. I'll be reduced to like my quote unquote worst form on a race day. It just depends on how far I get before I reach that point. So it could be 40 miles, it could be 60 miles, it could be 80 miles, but I'll get to a point where muscularly, I won't be able to put out the efficiency and output that I would typically be able to do if I wasn't overly fatigued from the previous accumulation of miles. So a good example is tomorrow. Tomorrow I have been doing like 10 to 12 mile runs in the morning with 1 minute on, 1 minute off quality. I'll still do a very similar thing, but it'll be more focused on like my top end speed. So instead of doing 1 minute hard, 1 minute slightly less hard, I'll actually try to do like efficiency reps. So doing harder 1 minute on intervals, or even reducing it to 45 seconds, for example, and then an even easier off period, rest period, where it's more polarized. Instead of like kind of floating in a gray zone and bouncing back and forth, I'll have my top end touched and then way back down to a really easy, and even sometimes standing rest is okay too, right? I'm not trying to train my heart or my lungs to have better efficiency or output. It's mostly just muscularly trying to get to my cleanest running stride. So that's a good example for tomorrow morning. And tomorrow afternoon, I'll do an uphill session. Again, more focused on like power development opposed to aerobic output or anaerobic output if you're going super hard on the treadmill. But I'll do like efficiency reps where I do 30 to 45 seconds at a higher pace, higher output, really trying to focus on knee drive and work on my actual biomechanics opposed to my internal organs. So that's sort of what it looks like for quality days. 8 days away from Leadville, so this coming Friday, I will do a quality session that involves a lot of downhill stuff. So I'll probably be back at Walker Ranch hitting some hard descents. And might bump to Saturday just based on scheduling logistics of life. But in that ballpark, that window, I'll hit a hard session. So 8 days or 7 days out. And then I will again 6 or 5 days out. And I'm mostly just teaching my body to accept hard downhills, be able to recover from it faster. I made a quick comment 2 days ago during my Leadville recon up at Twin Lakes that when I first did the Hope Pass ascent and descent, I kind of felt pretty fatigued in my quads in particular and my outer glutes for like 3 days. This time it's been about 2. So I'm hoping that by the time I get to 8 days out, 6 days out, or 7 and 5, that it only takes a day to feel kind of normal again. And then I can have some confidence going to race day that I'll be able to put out harder descent efforts and just like accumulating that much load over the course of 100 miles to feel confident enough that my body can do the output. It's used to it, it's adapted to it, and it's able to do the work that I'm asking it to do on race day. So that's just holistically what it looks like for a taper week. Very generic or very general points. Point number 1 is drop volume. It's going to be kind of off a cliff here, mostly because my training block has been pretty progressive and I haven't had a deload week in 7 weeks. So 30 to 35% this week, an additional 30 to 40% on top of that next week leading into the race, but still keeping the quality components there and touching my like a higher end, like my top end speed, my top end biomechanics, so that I'm not lowering my ceiling too much. I'm kind of keeping that ceiling high, or as high as it can be with the amount of time I have left. So I'll drop some workouts, like HYROX workouts are now out of the board. I'll drop strength a little bit. I'll still keep cross training, some incline hiking, some biking, etc. for the next 12 days, but a lot of it will either be reduced, that 30 to 35%, and or completely omitted depending on the time of day. So I can start to reintroduce rest days now. Wednesday is going to be a complete rest day again. First one in like 19 days, so I'm pretty excited about that. And yeah, hopefully go into Leadville feeling ready under my legs and my body in general. And then the focus now shifts the next 12 days to the mental side. So the body is pretty much well adapted, or as much as it's going to be. And the only thing I can control now is my outlook, my perspective, my mindset going into the race. So that's now the shift. And yeah, it's scary. I'm excited, probably more excited than scared. Although again, that will probably change as I get closer and closer to race day. It might come closer to 50-50 and then skew more towards the scare side. But yeah, the work's been done. I'm excited to taper and have a good, hopefully healthy, no getting sick now, lead into Leadville 12 days from now. So quick one today, but regardless, we're 12 days out, 11 more sleeps, and for 12 more days. We'll see you guys tomorrow.